Before joining Purity and Peace, my outlook on purity was a little tainted, more so because I didn't grow up learning about purity or even being encouraged to maintain my purity. So I would say that before joining Purity and Peace, my views on purity was that it was for the younger generation and for a selected group of people that kind of were encouraged to maintain that lifestyle growing up. And for me, I just felt like I had already committed so many sins that I didn't even realize that purity was something that was available to me. Before joining Purity and Peace, I would say that purity was something that wasn't necessarily important to me. It was something that was never truly at the forefront of my mind. It was something that I knew should potentially be strived for, but it wasn't something that I necessarily thought about day in and day out. Now that I have taken the Purity and Peace Life group, I would say that my struggle with purity has changed. Now that I have gone through the group, I feel like I have a community of other women kind of going through some of the same struggles that I am, and there are people that I know that I can reach out to for prayer or just for conversations or any kind of support that I may need with maintaining my peace and my purity. Before joining Purity and Peace, I would say that purity is certainly something that I did struggle with. Just in this day and age, there's like so much going on just in the world, on TV, on social media, and the media itself. So it's kind of tough to maintain purity with all that's going on in the world. So it is definitely something that I would say I struggle with. Peace is something that I did struggle with. Stress is just a part of life, and I feel like after going through the Peace and Purity Life group, I have learned coping skills. I've read different books on things to do to kind of protect myself and my spirit. I now have, like I said, a group of women that I can turn to if I need prayer or support or just someone to talk to. So through the Purity and Peace class, I met a phenomenal group of women, a group of women that are all seeking God and to be in His will. So I would say that having those group of women around and having them available to me to talk or to pray with, I think it holds me more accountable to kind of strive to maintain my peace and purity. And it also just gives me an outlet just day in and day out just to deal with any problems that I may be facing throughout the day. Through the study that we did in the Purity and Peace class, I would say that the lesson that stood out to me the most was setting healthy boundaries in relationships, and that's both not just intimate relationships, but also, friends and family as well. Just kind of taking my peace and my purity into consideration and using that to determine how I deal with people or even how I receive the way people deal with me. To share some of my story and my testimony of how I got to where I am today after going through the Peace and Purity class and being at this point in my life where I would say I have not only peace, but I'm also working towards my purity, is prior to coming to this class, I had developed unhealthy relationships, and not just intimate, but also the relationships in my family and with friends as well. So just 4 years ago is when I got saved and when I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And prior to that, I was in a very long-term relationship, 8 years to be exact, in which a lot of things happened that were not of God because neither one of us knew Him. And we had combined into a relationship where we were playing the parts of being married, but obviously we weren't. So I didn't learn that relationship wasn't healthy until I went through the Peace and Purity class and learned that there are boundaries that need to be set within relationships, and also that there's, in a sense, a sequence of events that should happen in forming a healthy relationship. So after being in that 8-year relationship where there wasn't even any marriage in sight, now that I have gone through the Purity and Peace class, I now know how to set healthy boundaries, so that when I do go into my next relationship, I know the things to look for and what kind of things are and are not acceptable to me, and as far as being in the liking of Christ. If I was going to invite one of my friends to Purity and Peace, I would definitely share with her just my personal testimony on how far or how much I have grown since going through the life class. And I would just hope that by me sharing my story, that it will be a blessing to her, and that she will want to seek the same things for herself.